Case-in-Chief and would like to call J.C. Longstreet to the stand. Before I begin, permission to set up the courtroom for the use of the demonstrative.
If at any point the defense needs it to be readjusted, please make some of them know.
Before they begin, may I move so I can see the demonstrative being used?
Paige Buckley for the state. May I proceed? Please introduce yourself to the members of the jury, spelling your last name for the record.
Good morning. My name is J.C. Longstreet. Longstreet spelled L-O-N-G-S-T-R-E-E-T.
What do you do for a living?
Well, I'm the owner, founder, and CEO of Rock the World Amusement Park.
Well, what is Rock the World?
Rock the World is a place where dreams come true. It's not just an amusement park. It's a magical, affordable experience for families, the young and the young at heart.
I'd like to talk to you about the summer of 2012.
Okay.
What was going on that summer?
Well, I was investigating a potential scheme going on with a ticket booth operator, Cameron Poole.
What was the scheme?
Well, it started with admissions. You see, Rock the World has two different types of admissions. The first is a standard admission, and it comes at a cost of $20. And then we have a more VIP admission, the World Tour, and that comes at a price of $35.
Well, what was the problem with admissions?
Well, the World Tour lines were a lot longer than the standard admission lines, which was very odd. So I went back to my books and I checked the profit and loss statement, and that's when I realized that the numbers did not match the amount of people in my park.
How could this be?
Well, after thinking about it a while, I realized that maybe a ticket booth operator was selling a World Tour admission, but bringing it up as a standard admission price, so he could pocket the $15.
Would you recognize the profit and loss statement that you mentioned in court today?
Yes.
Did the record reflect that in approaching the opposing counsel, the state's exhibit 1, the profit and loss sheet? May I approach the witness? May the record reflect that in approaching the witness, the state's exhibit 1 as well. Ms. Longstreet, can you identify the document I just handed to you?
Well, this is the 2010 through 2012 profit and loss statement.
And who is in charge of this statement?
Well, myself as CEO, and then Rock the World's accountant, Haley Floyd.
Is this a fair and accurate copy?
Yes.
And how often is this statement updated?
This statement is updated on a monthly basis.
Is it regular for Rock the World to compile documents like this in its regular course of business?
Yes.
At this time, Your Honor, we move to admit State's Exhibit 1, the profit and loss sheet, into evidence.
I do have an objection, Your Honor. I don't believe she actually is the custodian of this document. I believe that would be more appropriate for the bookkeeper, Haley Floyd.
May I respond, Your Honor? I asked who is responsible and in charge of this document. She said that herself, as the CEO of the company, is responsible for this document, as well as the accountant, Haley Floyd. She would be, therefore, would be a proper custodian of it. And what she is arguing, or what opposing counsel is arguing, goes to weight rather than admissibility in this case.
Do you respond to that?
I disagree. Again, I believe that Haley Floyd would be the only person that could testify to the contents of this document and is the only true custodian of this document.
I'm going to overrule, as you believe it goes to weight admissibility, the witness to testify that she was a custodian. So,
Ms. Longstreet, according to this statement, how much money was missing from Rock the World in the summer of 2012?
Approximately $42,750 was missing from my company.
Permission to approach the witness, retrieve evidence, and send it to the bench.
motion granted.
Now, Ms. Longstreet, you said that $42,750 was missing from Rock the World.
Mm-hmm.
How could this be?
Well, my company uses a regressional analysis to just make sure that we're on track for the year. I brought in a chart today to show this discrepancy.
Permission for the witness to step down and make use of demonstrative evidence.
Motion granted.
Longstreet, what are we looking at here?
Well, this chart represents regressional sales and actual sales for the World Tour tickets for the summer of 2012.
What does that mean?
Well, in general, regression shows a relationship between two related variables. In this case, our variables are park attendance and the World Tour tickets. So based upon park attendance, we can then predict what World Tour tickets should have been for that summer.
So what does the blue line on this chart represent?
The blue line represents predicted sales for the World Tour tickets.
And what does the green line represent?
The green line represents what actually happened.
And what are the numbers on this?
Well, the blue and the green numbers down here represent the blue and green lines up on the chart. And the red number represents the variance, which would be the difference between the two.
So how does this add up to $42,750?
Well,
Objection, Your Honor. I believe at this instance, Ms. Longstreet is providing expert testimony and the foundation does not relate for her to be qualified as an expert.
May I respond, Your Honor? Ms. Longstreet is simply explaining that from the profit and loss sheet, she came up to the $42,750. This is not expert testimony at this time.
I would disagree. I believe that while she may be the custodian or a custodian of the profit and loss sheet, what she's providing today seems to be scientific evidence and prediction of growth trends, I guess you could say, of the financial records of the company.
May I respond, Your Honor? Again, as the custodian of the document, she's familiar with all the numbers that are in there. This is simply just outlining from that document so that way it's easier for the jurors to understand where she got this number from. Again, not going to expert testimony, just simply relaying what the information in the chart or in the data shows on a chart, just for the members of the jury, just to make it easier for them.
May I respond?
I'm going to pause you guys. I'm going to sustain your objection for now. Please lay the foundation as to how she would have the knowledge for the specific accounting that she is testifying to. I believe that she would be a custodian of the document, but you haven't laid the foundation that she would understand the finances behind it.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Longstreet, what kind of accounting do you use at Roger World?
what type of accounting?
Yes.
Well, we adhere to GAAP, and we also use a database of Excel in order to come up with our financial statements.
And what kind of databases do you use to prepare the profit and loss sheet of this?
Excel also.
Are you familiar with the processes used behind this?
Yes, I am.
So how would you get the $42,750?
Like I said, you would take the 4 red numbers and you would add them together.
Objection, Your Honor. I renew my objection. She is not an accountant. I do not believe she can testify to accounting practices in general, which she's using right now.
I'm going to overrule you this time. She has talked about how she would be aware of the accounting of her own business as CEO. So I'm going to go at this point.
So Ms. Longstreet, how did you get the $42,750?
Well, I added up the 4 red numbers and I came out with 2,850 missing tickets, which can be represented on the chart as this area right here. Now, if you multiply that by $15, which is the difference between the standard admission and the World Tour admission, that is how I came out to $42,750.
Now, you said that this chart was based off of some variables. Because of that, how accurate is this chart?
Well, because regression uses 2 years
Objection, Your Honor. I do not believe that she possesses the knowledge to make that kind of a claim.
Again, Your Honor, as the CEO, she said she's familiar with the document, she's familiar with the principles that have gone behind making this chart and the data that is on the profit and loss statement. Therefore, she can say how accurate what she is testifying to is.
It's not her statement. This would be creation of fact, and this creation of this kind of fact would affect the overall outcome, could affect the overall outcome of today's trial. I do not believe it is appropriate. Also, she is not an accountant, so she cannot make those kinds of predictions and claims. While she may have the available information and software to do her own personal accounting, she cannot do it to predict trends or anything like that.
May I respond, Your Honor? Again, as the CEO, she said that she's familiar with all of the accounting principles and methods that are used by Dr. Will. Because of that, she would be able to testify to this information.
Again, none of this stuff is in her affidavit. It is an invention of fact. It is not appropriate right now. And in today's trial, that could, unfortunately, have a negative effect on the outcome and could unfairly bias the jury towards Ms. Whitfelman.
gonna overrule you for now, but if this is in fact an invention of fact, you can take care of that in your cross-examination.
Thank you.
So Ms. Longstreet, you said that this was based off of variables. Because of that, how accurate is this chart?
Because regression uses 2 years of past data, it has a 96% level of accuracy. The other 4 is only a plus or minus of $1,710.
Thank you, Ms. Longstreet. You may take your seat. Now, Ms. Longstreet, you said earlier on your direct examination that this scheme involved the ticket booth operator, Cameron Poole. How did he come to work at Rockter World?
Well, first of all, Whit Bowman recommended that I hire Cameron Poole. And when I did, the 2 of them were inseparable. They were always spending their breaks together and taking their lunches together.
Now, you mentioned Whit Bowman. Do you recognize Whit Bowman in this courtroom today?
I do. She's the lady sitting at the end of the table with white jacket on.
May the record reflect that the witness has properly identified the defendant? You said that Cameron Poole worked the ticket booth. Where did Whit Bowman work?
Well, Whit Bowman worked the rides, all except for the Tunnel of Terror. She was banned from that ride.
Why was Whit Bowman banned from the Tunnel of Terror?
Well, Whit operated the ride in blackout mode with people in the carts. And no one's allowed to operate a ride in blackout mode unless A, I tell you to, or B, you're part of my maintenance team.
Well, what is blackout mode?
Blackout mode is when the ride is still running, but with the lights off. It's extremely dangerous.
I'd like to talk to you about August 30th of 2012. What happened on that day?
Well, I had Haley Floyd work the ticket booth, and everything was going great until the end of the day.
What happened at the end of the day?
Well, I was closing the park down, and all of a sudden I heard this scream coming from the main ticket booth.
What did you do then?
Well, I ran over there to see where the scream was coming from, and I seen Haley, and she was on her knees, and she was crying, and I ran over to her and asked her what was wrong.
Well, what did she say?
She said that Poole threatened her with a knife and said that if she didn't give him the money, she was going to carve her face up.
Thank you. No further questions this time, Your Honor. Would opposing counsel like me to deconstruct the demonstrator?
No, I can do it, thank you.